Hey there, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Friday Business Building as part of SRT Live with me, your host, Sean Richard, here at Guaranteed Rate in the DFW Metroplex. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to talk to you about our topic today. This is near and dear to my heart. And as always, every Friday, I want to bring content information to you that you can implement into your business to help you grow your business and serve more clients. So today, we're going to be talking about growing your client reviews. That is our topic. And let me go ahead and pull this up for us. Hey, there we go. Boom. So I may be sipping some coffee here and there, just as a heads up. So don't mind me. But I hope you're having I hope you've had a great week so far, and that your Friday is going extremely well. So let's talk about growing your business through client reviews. It's exciting stuff. Client reviews are an important part of our business. We want to make sure that we are putting positive information out on the interwebs for people to find us. And so what does that look like? How do we do that? What's the best approach? What platform? All the questions that you have, I want to try and get answered today. But as always, you've got my contact information right at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to reach out, or you can also comment on the Facebook post. You can comment below, and I can try and answer those live on stream today. So let me go out and pull up the live stream so that way I can check out any comments that are going on. All right, perfect. Here we go. All right, so I am good to go, and I'll check that periodically so that way I can try and answer any questions that come in. All right, so let's get to it. Growing your client reviews. Okay, so let's start. I like to start with some quotes. I love quotes. I think I think quotes are simply another perspective, right? It's somebody's perspective on a topic. And so I saw this quote and it really resonated with me. So I'll just read it to you. Customer experience is the next competitive battleground. It's where businesses are won or lost. And so I could not agree more. I think customer experience, client experience has been the shift in our society for a little while now. We've got a lot of younger generations that are so focused on experience, on the experience, on it's not as much about material goods, it's about the experience, about going and doing things. It's about the experience they have when interacting with businesses and with other people and engagement. And so the customer or client experience, I think, is critical now more than ever. And so if you didn't know, that was said by Tom Knighton, who is a business consultant, and he's not super well known, but somewhat well known. Great quote from Tom. Now, I want to show you my favorite quote, and if you've watched me long enough, you've seen this before. So if you know it, feel free to put it in the comments down below. So, and it's covered up a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that's not as awesome. No, okay. Let's run with this. So what this says, it says, whatever you do, do it well, do it so well that when people see you do it, they'll want to come back and see you do it again. And they'll want to bring others and show them how well you do what you do. This is absolutely my number one favorite quote. This is actually kind of what I've built my business around. My mantra, is represented in this quote. And so, take a stab at who this quote is from, and I'll give you just a moment here. So you're gonna know it. And again, if you watch me, you're definitely gonna know it. But this this is a Walt Disney quote. And I ask this every time I talk about this quote, but when you think of Disney, whether it's the channel plus Disney World, Disneyland, what type of feelings, what type of emotions do you have? What kind of feelings come to mind? What kind of thoughts come to mind? And I would argue that for most people, with the exceptions out there, for most people, it's extremely positive feelings and emotions. And so that's an amazing, overwhelming response from people about a brand, about a company. All right. So why do we want to focus on client reviews? What's the point? Why do we want to do it? Now, I would hope that most of you understand or at least have an idea of why you want to do that. But I've got some stats here for you that I wanted to show. So 92% of consumers, um, they'll hesitate to buy from a company or an individual if there are no reviews. And so if you're not actively building your review bank, we'll call it, then when people find you online, they don't know whether they can trust you or not. And I guarantee that anyone who is referred to you, one of the first things that they're going to do is they're going to go look you up. They're going to look you up on Google. They're going to look you up on Zillow. They're going to see if they can find some information about you. So wouldn't it be amazing if when they did that, they found phenomenal feedback and reviews from your past clients? Okay. Second, 97% of consumers report customer reviews they read influence their purchasing decision. This is not new information. Maybe the percentage is, but I think we all understand that a lot of consumers make their decisions by looking at reviews. Perfect example. Myself and my family, every time we want to try a new restaurant, the very first thing that we do is we look at the reviews. I'm a bit of a food snob, so if the restaurant doesn't have 4.5 stars or greater, I'm probably not going to go unless somebody very close to me has highly recommended it. But if I'm relying exclusively on reviews, I'm going to look at those reviews, I'm going to look at that rating and make a decision on whether I want to try that restaurant or not. And that is a representation of how a lot of consumers approach making any financial decisions. So really, really important. This one blew my mind. Okay, and these are all from websitebuilder.com. These stats are all from websitebuilder.com. So the third one here, 84% of people surveyed trust online reviews as much as they trust recommendations from friends and family, from people they know. 84%. That's insane. That completely blew my mind when I saw that stat. But realistically, from what I just said, when I'm talking about restaurants, like, yeah, when I see a lot of great reviews and that star rating is up there above 4.5, I mean, it's immediate credibility, it's immediate confidence that I'm likely, and I guess that's how I would think of it is it becomes probability, right? What's the probability that I'm going to have a good experience? What's the probability that I'm going to get good service, or that I'm going to like the food, or that I'm going to have a great experience working with this individual or this company? And so obviously at a higher rate of reviews and positive reviews in our minds as consumers, and this all boils down to psychology, the probability is high. And so that's what we're looking for, is what's that probability? And so 84% trust online reviews equally to friends, family. And then here, 75% of online customers trust a business if there's positive reviews. And so this is really an important one, and I want to just glaze over this because it would be really easy to just read this stat and move on. But when you think about our business in the real estate industry, what's our primary focus? How do we really build relationships with clients? And in my mind, the answer to that question is we build relationships by getting people to know, like, and trust us. You've heard this before. This is well known in the business world. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And so when we have an opportunity to meet somebody, okay, well, now they know us, right? And then we want to get them to like us. And then once they like us, maybe they'll trust us as well. But somewhere in that mix, if we haven't had an opportunity to interact with them as much as we would like, how do we build that trust without spending more time with them? And so this stat, really important, is 75% trust the business after seeing positive online reviews. Like, talk about a shortcut to trust. So, because that know, like, and trust, it really is in that order. They know us, then we got to get them to like us before they can trust us. So if online positive reviews shortcut us to that trust phase, don't you think that this is going to be an important part of our business, or needs to be an important part of our business? So I would say yes. So let's continue. All right. So how do we do it? How do we grow? Man, I did a poor job of my overlay on this one. Well, just going to have to deal with it because I'm going to talk to you about it. So don't worry about it. If you like the presentation, we can always share it later. And it's also going to be on YouTube, which we'll have the overlay, but it's okay. So how do we grow our client reviews? So I've broken it down into three primary categories. One, we've got to identify our preferred platforms. We can't just solicit random reviews or have people email us or go into different places every single time. We've got to have preferred platforms. That could be one preferred platform. That could be multiple preferred platforms. Now, I'm going to give you a word of caution here. Multiple platforms are asking your clients to do multiple actions, take multiple actions, and that can be tough. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Number two, we've got to create a repeatable process. Notice that's not reputable process. It's a repeatable process. Now, obviously, we want a reputable process as well, but we need to create a repeatable process, something that we can write down and just repeat over and over. and that way we can analyze it, we can review it, we can tweak it, and then improve upon it over time. And then the third thing is we want to do our best to automate a lot of this process with technology. If we continue to take every good idea in our industry and try to implement that, at some point, if they are manual processes, we're going to struggle. We're going to lose. We're not going to have enough time on our plate. Now, there's a couple ways to do that, to overcome that hurdle. Number one is, as I have here, to automate. Number two is to build staff, right? Build it. I hesitate to say team because a lot of realtors, when I say team, they're thinking, oh, I gotta, you're talking about getting realtors under me and stuff. Like, I'm not. When I say team, I'm talking about staff. I'm talking about operations that can help fulfill more administrative or less critical tasks in your business. So we can automate, or we can hire staff to do some of these. Okay, so let's dive into each of these three categories, drill down, so that way you can get a really good idea of how to implement this in your business. All right, first and foremost, identify preferred platforms. Now, this is pretty simple, pretty easy. We all have a really good idea of what the most critical platforms in our industry are. Battling for number one and number two, I think, are going to be these first two that we look at. But honestly, Google is a critical powerhouse in our industry. And yes, even for real estate, Google, although people are searching for everything, I think you'd be surprised at how many people are searching for real estate. But let me just give you some kind of more generic numbers about Google and the volume. So according to the website review42.com, Google has over 70,000 searches every, what do you think? Day, hour, minute, second? What do you think? It's every second. Google has over 70,000 searches every second. And Google controls 90% of the global search engine market. So one of our options for building our review data bank is going to be Google, and there's some really cool strategies that we can do to kind of jumpstart our reviews, and I'll talk about those here in a little bit. But Google, definitely a powerhouse to want to take a look at. Another option is we could do Zillow. Zillow is obviously very specific to our industry. According to Statista.com, Zillow, as of October 21st or October of last year, October 2021, reported that they had an average of 36 million unique monthly visitors. Okay, so some of those people that are visiting Zillow, of course, they're just going on there, they're looking for the first time. Others are maybe hopping on Zillow and they're looking up a real estate agent, they're looking up a lender, and to look at those reviews. So Zillow is another great resource to build your review data bank. Now, with that being said, asterisk at the bottom here is, Zillow's in a business that they are trying to put, lenders and real estate agents out of business. Now, we've all seen the recent flop of the Zillow's home buying business. And so they tried to get in and take advantage of inflationary prices, and they ended up overpaying for a significant number of homes. And that was definitely an error on their part. But it does not mean that Zillow is not still trying to eliminate the agent and the lender from the transaction. They are trying to put us out of a job. So if you're like me, I'm not a huge fan of giving more money or credit to Zillow if I can avoid it. I'm in the process of transitioning my review data bank from Zillow over to Google. And so that transition, I've got a very specific strategy. And if you want to know about the strategy, just hit me up on my information below. All right, so Zillow. And then the third major player in the space is Realtor.com. And actually, real quick, let me jump back up there to Zillow. I didn't mention it because it's obviously kind of one and the same, but Trulia, obviously Zillow owns Trulia. So Trulia and Zillow, even though they are keeping those separate, both of those would work, but that's why I haven't specifically referenced Trulia on here, but those are both together. And then the third powerhouse in our space is Realtor.com. Realtor.com, again, another phenomenal source to build your review data bank, because they just have so many users that are on there on a regular basis. Also from Statista.com, Realtor.com has over 18 million unique monthly visitors, again, as of October of 2021. So you've got Zillow up at 36. Technically, Trulia is in between Zillow and Realtor.com. And then you've got Realtor.com coming in at 18 million, still a significant amount. So Realtor.com, another great place to store your review data bank. So the question is how do you make that determination? Can you do multiple? Should you do multiple, or should you focus on one? And that really depends on how deep you want to go into the review space. There are some technologies that allow you to have reviews spread across multiple platforms, and I'll reference that a little bit later on in the presentation. And if you go that route, that may be a good resource for you, or a good path to go down. However, if you want to keep it simple, stupid, do the KISS method, then you probably want to start by focusing on one platform and then just really ramping up that platform. My personal opinion is I love Google. Again, I'm transitioning from Zillow to Google. I'm going to do that over the course of the next several months. And so Google is my number one. But Zillow works because a lot of people go to Zillow first. Realtor.com works because a lot of people go to Realtor.com first. So any of those three you could have success with. And choosing which one you feel best appeals to you based on your ideals, the market that you're in plays a role. All right, so now that we've talked about what platform we want to target, let's talk about creating a repeatable process. and this is critical, because consistency is the number one thing that we can do in our business. whatever we do, if we do it consistently, then we're likely to have success in some capacity. You know, you could stand on a street corner in your underwear with a sign, and if you did that every single day for long enough, you would get phone calls and you would get people engaging with you and asking you questions. And so the consistency is the biggest thing that we can do. So in order to accommodate that with our client reviews is we need to create a repeatable process. All right. Number one is we've got to have scripting. This can't be, oh, I'm just going to wing it every time I talk to clients. Every time I talk to home buyers, home sellers, I'm just gonna wing it. That doesn't work. You've got to have scripting. Now, does this mean you can never go off script? Of course not. You can go off script, but you need to have a baseline in place. And that baseline is going to be your ability to A, create consistency, and B, plug and play. If you bring on staff and you offload this process or parts of this process to operations staff, you want to have them be able to pick something up and know exactly what they're doing. Here's my list, here's my script, I'm good to go. And so building scripting is also an important part. If you struggle with wording things, reach out to me. I've been building my scripting for years, and I'd be happy to help run some ideas by you, or at least give you some thoughts to help give you a jumping off point for some creative options. All right. All right, next I want to talk about timing. This is critical. And I'm actually going to bring in another point on timing too. But when we ask for the review, is the timing on that is the most important part of asking in the first place. Because if we ask at the wrong time, either A, the client's going to be distracted because they have a lot going on, or B, they're not going to have had enough of an experience to say, yeah, I'll go ahead and fill out that review for you. So in my world, in the lending side of the industry, we've got a period of time called the magic window. And the magic window is when we have that client cleared to close. Other than the moment they win the contract, the clear to close is one of the most exciting points in the process. Now, I'd be lying if I didn't say that my team and I have some processes in place to help that moment be even more exciting. That's what we're here for. But that magic window, when they're cleared to close, is our perfect opportunity to ask for a review. The process is 95% complete, and they're ecstatic at that point, as long as we've done our job to get to that point successfully. So as real estate agents, you've got similar capability. You can go in and you can use that same magic window once the client is clear to close. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to do it at closing. You don't want to do it immediately after closing, because at closing, the client, the last thing that they're thinking of is telling you how good of a job that you did and going out and taking an action. It's one thing to tell you, it's another thing to physically take an action, to go out to a website and type up a review. And of course, after closing, they're worried about moving. They're worried about, everything else in their life going on. They're not worried about jumping on a website and taking that action. There's plenty of other actions that they have on their plate. So the timing of when you ask is critical. I recommend that magic window, but you could create your own magic window in other aspects of the transaction towards the end. You don't want to do this at the beginning or the middle, but towards the end, if you feel that there's another critical inflection point that the clients are ecstatic and it's far enough into the transaction where they would feel comfortable writing a review about the process when working with you, then you could definitely leverage that point. But timing is of the utmost importance. When they're clear to close, that magic window is what I'm going to recommend doing that. All right. Now, just as important as timing is going to be setting expectations. And so let me tell you what I mean on this. When you build that initial rapport with the client, they've agreed to work with you, and you're starting to go through your process, your client experience, what they're going to get from you. one of the best things that you can do is set the expectation on how things are going to go, set the expectation on what you're going to ask them to do down the road. And so a couple of things come to mind when I talk about this. One is upfront contracts. And so this is a term that I stole off of a colleague of mine a while back. But my team and I, we like to set a lot of upfront contracts, which is really just an expectation. You know, if I tell you, here are the next 5 things that are going to happen working with my team, and every single one of those 5 things happen, then what does that do for your impression of me and my team and I? You know, it's going to build trust, right? Oh, wow. Sean told me that these 5 things were going to happen. All 5 things happened. And okay, so they do what they say they're going to do. That builds trust. That builds rapport. So setting expectations is critical. Additionally, if you set the expectation of what you're going to ask of them later in the process, then when you ask them, it's not a surprise. It's not like, oh, well, like, it's not an awkward conversation. So early on in the process, maybe not that very first conversation, maybe that first conversation, I'm going to recommend that you set the expectation that towards the end of the process that you are going to ask them for a review. You're going to ask them to go out to your review data bank, you know, whether it's Zillow, you know, Realtor or Google. Hey, you're going to ask them to go out to Google and leave you a review on how you did. So let me give an example of the conversation that I have with clients. And the point in the process that I have this conversation with clients is once they go under contract, or if they happen to be a refinance client, once they're moving forward with the process. And so the conversation sounds like this. You know, let's say I'm working with borrower John. Hey, John, you know, appreciate you giving my team the opportunity to make this a great experience for you. Really excited to help you out. Over the course of the next 25 to 30 days, we're going to be doing A, B, C, and D. And I go over that with them. Our team's goal is to take phenomenal care of you and to make sure that you've got the best process possible. At the end of this process, I'm going to ask you to review my team and I on our, you know, in this case, Zillow review page. So John, I'm going to ask you to share your feedback and leave us a review on our Zillow review page. But here's the catch, John. At any point in this process, if you don't feel like you can give us a raving 5-star review, I want you to pick up the phone and call me, because I need to know about it, because I cannot fix it if you don't tell me about it. And I want to make sure at the end of this process that you are highly confident and comfortable to do nothing but rave about us and give us a 5-star review. Is that a fair request? Well, guess what John says? Oh yeah, Sean, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. So at the very beginning of the process, I've already told them I'm going to ask them for a review. And on top of that, I've told them what I expect out of the review, 5 stars and a raving review. And I've given them confidence that if the process isn't going the way that it needs to, in a way that they can't give me that raving review, pick up the phone and call me, right? Have you ever had a client that was frustrated or maybe had a bad experience and you didn't know about it until after the process was already over? Now, hopefully it's not common. I know I've had that experience occasionally back in the day, but this is a process that I put into place to help avoid those types of situations and set the expectation for the client that I'm going to ask for that review at the end of the process. So at the end of the process, when I'm having the phone call with them about the clear to close, one of my talking points say, hey, John, how was the experience for you? How did my team and I do? Well, 9 times out of 10, or 9.9 times out of 10, yep, they're going to say, oh, Sean, it was fantastic. You guys did a great job. The communication was awesome. That's what we do. Awesome, John. I'm thrilled to hear that you had an amazing experience. Really appreciate it. That was absolutely our goal. If you'll go ahead and do me that favor that we talked about at the beginning of the process, if you'll jump out to my Zillow review page and share your feedback on how great the process was, I'd love to make sure that anyone who finds me on Zillow knows that we're doing an amazing job and they can have confidence in working with my team. Can I count on you to do that for me, John? And John's going to say yes, because I've set the expectation up front. I've built into the process that I'm looking for a raving review, and I constantly ask for feedback, especially at the end, about how the process went. And so John's going to go out and he's going to give me a review. But none of that would be possible if I didn't set that initial expectation at the very onset of the process. So setting expectations is very critical. All right, let's move on. So we are on the tail end of the presentation here, and automating with technology, there's definitely a number of different ways that you can go with this. So I'm not going to spend too much time. If you want to sit down and have a further conversation about some things that you can do to help automate, I'd love to do that. Again, give me a call on my number below, or you can leave comments in the face down below the video. And so automating with technology. So there's again, all kinds of ways that we can go with this, but the number one is going to be your CRM. Now, if you are a real estate agent and you do not have a CRM that you use on a regular basis, then you need to call me and we need to have a conversation, because that by itself will boost your business. Guaranteed. If you're using an Excel spreadsheet, if you aren't using anything, we need to talk, because that is the number one thing that you need to go do. Now, if you've got a CRM, you can leverage that CRM to help automate some of this process through automated communication, emails, automated text messages, reminders. You can use all of that. Your CRM is your number one powerhouse in making sure that you can get some of those easy tasks of communication to remind people to leave reviews or to ask for a review in the first place. Your CRM is going to be the way to do that. All right. Number two, say it without saying it. What does this mean, Sean? I don't understand. So what I mean by this is how do we put a positive view of ourselves in front of somebody without us saying, hey, I'm awesome, look at me. How many times do you see maybe lenders or real estate agents post on Facebook, I closed X number, I closed this many dollars, I finished top 10, oh, I sold this home. That's great. Self-promotion has a time and a place, and I would argue it's a very small time and place. So how do we say it without saying it? An example of what my team and I do to help that is we use Calendly, Calendly. We use Calendly for our scheduling. And we give clients the ability to schedule meetings with us. We send them out to our Calendly scheduling page. They choose a day and a time, and then we call them at that day and time. But one of the sneaky things that we do is Calendly gives you the ability to, once they've completed the scheduling, by default, it pops up with the Calendly confirmation page. However, Calendly gives you the ability to redirect that client to an alternate website. Well, based on our topic of conversation today, where do you think my team and I redirect our clients? That's right. We redirect them to our Zillow review page. They schedule a call with us. Brand new client, maybe we have or have not talked to them yet. They schedule a call with us and they get redirected to our Zillow review page, where they see all of our positive reviews. They see our 5 stars. They can read them. I'm helping build confidence in my team without saying it. I'm not talking to the client and say, hey, client, we're awesome. Our clients love us, because we redirect them to our client reviews that say it for us. So with any activities that you want to get positive information out there about you, about your team, about your business, about what you're doing, I want you to think of, how can I say it without saying it? What can I put in place to get that information in front of people without it necessarily coming from me directly? And if you can find a way to do that with any of that information, you're going to have even better success, because it's not going to look like shameless self-promotion. Now, does shameless self-promotion work? It does. As I mentioned earlier, you could stand on the street corner with a sign, and if you do it long enough, people are going to call you. So if you're blasting social media with, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, at some point, it's going to work. You are going to have some people call you. But would more people call you if you had other ways of doing that that weren't self-promotion? I would argue the answer is yes. All right. Social survey. So social survey is actually no longer social survey, it's experience.com. And social survey or experience.com is a way to automate getting reviews. And uh, social survey allows for a client to submit a single review and it be broadcast over multiple platforms. So if your goal is to really blow up multiple platforms with reviews, this is going to be a way to do that. Now, there's probably multiple technologies out there that can accomplish the same thing, but social survey is one of the most prominent ways to do that. They do a phenomenal job. So go check them out, socialsurveyexperience.com. They can help do that if that's how you want to go about it. All right. And then automated follow-up. So this is kind of, I've already kind of touched on this a little bit. You know, your CRM can help you do this. You know, Calendly can help you do this. But you want to have automation built into your follow-up. You know, when you work with a client, you want to make sure that there are post-interaction touches that you're having with the client to make sure that they're having a good experience, to make sure that they're keeping you top of mind, to make sure that they're thinking about you when they're talking to their friends, family, and coworkers who could potentially be in need to sell or buy a home. And so automating that follow-up is going to be one of the best ways. Now, should you have a process in place where you're picking up the phone and calling, or doing physical text messaging, or sending actual, you know, one-off emails? Sure. But automating your follow-up is going to give your clients and past clients the ability to raise their hand, right? If you're sitting in if you're sitting in a classroom and you're a teacher and you're calling on students, the student may or may not have a question, may or may not have anything to say. But when a student raises their hand, you now know who to call on that's going to specifically have a question or have a statement. So wouldn't it be great if our clients were raising their hands? Well, one of the ways that we can get them to raise their hands is through automated follow-up. An example from my team, we use a system called HomeBot. HomeBot is a monthly wealth digest for clients that helps them track the equity and payments on their home loan. We track our balance sheets on everything else. We track our bank balances. We track our IRA and 401k balances. We track our credit card and loan balances. You know, but how many people do you know that truly track what's going on with their home equity, the appreciation, and how much principal that they're building in their home, their equity position? And I would argue it's very few. So my team and I've invested in HomeBot that sends a wealth digest out to all of our past clients on a monthly basis that helps them track this. It's like a bank statement for your house. And so that's automated. That goes out every month automatically. But what happens is clients open that, they start poking around in it. It's very interactive, and I get access to that information. And so I can see the clients that are most active and what they're active with. Oh, they're running a lot of refinance calculators. Oh, they're looking at what would it be like to purchase a new home and sell their current home. What does that mean? Those clients are raising their hand. They've got their hand sky high, so that way I can identify who requires my attention. Because if you try to give your attention to everybody, it's going to be too tough. There's too many people. As you build your past client database, your current client database, you can't follow up with everyone all the time. So you want to have automated follow-up to be able to allow your clients, past and present, to raise their hands. And you also want to work with an amazing lending team that's going to help you put processes into place to make that easier as well. I mean, I can think of one, but I can think of one. So if you have questions, you want to sit down, reach out to me at the number below. All right. So Sean, this is all great. Reviews sounds awesome, but those who can't do teach, right? So what do you do, Sean? Well, I've talked about some of our processes for reviews, so I'll show you this. Now, this is not to show you that I'm awesome. Honestly, we should have a lot more reviews than this. And I will say, getting client reviews a lot of times feels like a full-time job. And so I have a member of my team that basically runs this process for me. And so we've done a decent job of building this. This is my Zillow, some screenshots off of Zillow. We're up to 173 5-star reviews, and we've been working at this very hard. And our goal over the next 12 months is to really boost this. 50 to 75% of clients that we work with is our target for getting reviews. 75 is our goal, but 50 people don't always leave reviews, and you've got to prod them a little bit. You got to remind them, and so it does feel like a full-time job sometimes, which is why it's so important to automate or delegate. But we work really hard on this, so I wanted to show this to you as well. And so clients look me up all the time, and they go out to Zillow and they look me up, and I win business almost exclusively against other lenders because I've taken the time to develop my review data bank. Clients go out to various other websites. They find multiple lenders, maybe for a specific program, like a down payment assistance program. They say, oh, here's 3 lenders in your area. And then they go to Zillow and they look up all 3 lenders, and I'm one of them. And I have the best reviews. And so that client calls me. And so I earn that business. I win that business because I've taken the time to build my review data bank. So I would encourage you to do the same thing. I would be happy to help out. If you have questions, if you want to dive a little bit deeper on how we can implement some of these strategies in your business, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Here is all my contact information. You can give me a call, send me an email. Be happy to sit down with you over coffee or have you come by the office, meet my team, and we can chat about how to implement these strategies in your business. All right, boys and girls, that is all that we have for today. I hope you've enjoyed this session of Friday Business Building, talking about building your client reviews. I will be back again next week with another amazing topic. What I'd love for you to do is leave in the comments below or send me an email or a text with any topics that you would love for me to cover, anything that you'd like me to deep dive on that I can help you implement in your business to do more, serve more clients, and give you the type of business that you want to have. So again, thanks so much for joining me today. Have an incredible weekend. Reach out if you need anything. And from me, Sean Richard, here at SRT Live, take care.